Hi, this is Eric Broom, and I am presenting Module 12, Tort Liability. First, I just have a couple definitions that I found from those resources stated, and some of the most common convictions in school settings. The one I found most was to be negligence. That was a big one. So let's dive right into it. Case number one, Mitchell versus Cedar Rapids. In this case, we have a 14-year-old special education student is sexually assaulted by a senior 19-year-old special education student in a third party's garage. So they skipped the last class to travel to this garage, and the teacher failed to report that they were missing. Um, they wrote it down in their own accountability book, but did not report it to other school staff. The jury found the school guilty because they didn't take the specific measures and perform their duties that they're supposed to. Normally, after school hours, it wouldn't fall under the school, but they failed to report things that they should have. Um, so if this happened in my school, um, I would immediately speak with the teacher who last saw a DE, who is that 14-year-old student, as well as the teacher who failed to report. So just get information um, from both of those teachers. And then the admin team will need to meet and discuss the approach to the situation, create a plan, and attempt to reconcile the case. Proactive measures, just make sure that we understand as staff the importance of reporting student absences. We can't just let it go if it's the end of the day. We have steps for that type of situation. And then make sure our secretaries understand the actions to take as soon as they're made aware. And then a couple sets of ethics, accountability for all students at all times, and effective communication. And case two. In this one, Munn versus Hotchkiss. Munn's a 15-year-old student on a summer trip to China gets bit by a tick. She gets encephalitis. I think I'm saying that right. Loses her ability to speak. So pretty crazy situation. Munn took it to federal court, arguing that the school didn't warn or prepare them. The school thought that they were in the clear because it's such a rare and unforeseeable thing. The argument did not hold up, and they lost the case. Basically, because the school's saying that just because something is rare, they don't need to worry about it or cover that with the parents, students. So that's kind of ridiculous, I think. So if this happened in my school, I think a lot of schools would probably have a similar reaction. It's a trip that they probably maybe have done a lot, so they've just always done it that way, and maybe they just didn't dive deep enough into what those dangers might look like on each trip. So proactively, I would make sure that we have very good contracts made for parent students on trips and make sure that we have done enough research to know what dangers might be included in the trip and include that on the contracts, as well as giving that information in detail out to parents before the trip. A couple ethics, understanding the risks and dangers of all school activities and trips, and creating those detailed contracts for parents for all activities and trips. Case three, Cormier versus City of Lynn. This one, the family claimed that the elementary school was liable because of negligence. So the student was pushed down a flight of stairs and then ended up being permanently paralyzed. The family argued negligence because there was previous bullying happening and could have been prevented, but the court denied that claim because the school was not a part of the original cause. And it appears there was no evidence of negligence from any of the staff, and there was anti-bullying policies in place. So, if this happened at my school, we would have an all-staff meeting. We would just make sure we talk about and cover all of our anti-bullying policies, how we're holding students accountable, and ways to be proactive about that. Proactively, we would continue to work with parents and students who are involved in bullying behaviors and just ways to resolve that. Again, we would reevaluate our policies and put up flyers and such things throughout the school and make sure that we're all very aware of that. Some ethics, keeping teachers aware and accountable for teaching students not to bully and having ongoing discussions with students about bullying. Case four, Barnett versus Caldwell. We have Antoine, a high school student, died from a major blood vessel being cut from dislocated collarbone. So this one's kind of crazy too. So this teacher left for whatever reason. Let's just say to go to the restroom. I don't think it's stated in here why she left. She didn't have anybody supervise her classroom. She has a neighboring classroom, like with a combined wall, a movable wall. Told her basically just to kind of be aware that, hey, I'm leaving, but didn't say supervise. Like she didn't have anybody there to watch. While she was gone, Antoine, another student, got into some horseplay, messing around, ended up falling, and that's when that blood vessel was cut. Antoine's family, went to court for negligence but didn't succeed, basically because there was no definition of supervision or supervising in the handbook. So that's kind of wild. If this happened in my school, we would need to have an all faculty meeting about supervision, what it entails, who's liable, what needs to change. So we need to look at our policies, our handbooks, and why that's not covered. Proactively, we would need to define supervision, supervising in the handbooks. Maybe discuss with other schools. Have discussions about what they have in their handbooks, what's worked, what hasn't, and then create something detailed for ours that works for us. Then a couple ethics: being honest at all times and communicating with peers to ensure supervision. So that's pretty crazy. The school ended up in the clear because they didn't have any definition of what supervision is. So her leaving and not having someone technically supervising um, pretty much got them out of being liable in this case, which is pretty wild to me. Case 5, NM versus Anchorage. So here, a 6-year-old boy was leaving at the end of the day, ran towards his mother, tripped and fell on what appeared to be a small pile of brush, a stump, and some small limbs. One of the limbs stuck into his eye and hit his brain. This child will never live independently and will forever need 24-hour care. The school lost in court due to negligence of keeping school grounds safe. So if this happened in my school, we would have a discussion with our janitors and facilities to make sure that those heavily trafficked areas are given special attention. Proactively, we would ensure the heavily trafficked areas were safe as possible, crosswalks, playgrounds, such areas like that, and send out maybe information to families about drop-off pickup areas and tips to ensure safety. And then my 2 ethics there about safety precautions with all staff and listen to your team for ideas to increase safety measures. My standards and reflection, which I'll post, and that is all I have for tort liability. Thanks.